3 weeks ago, we made a video talking about the best coaster for every major city. It was a really fun video to make and it performed pretty well. At the end of the video, I asked you guys if we should continue going down the list, and some of you thought it would be a good idea. And I came to the realization, what if we just did international cities instead of the US? So in today's video, we took the 15 most populated cities in the world and decided which coaster is the best for that area. We are being realistic in the coasters that are available, and we'll pick something in a reasonable proximity of the city center. This list has a lot of good coasters and a lot of bad coasters, so it should be pretty fun to go through. Anyways, we have a lot of content to cover, so let's jump straight into the video. The 15th most populated city in the world is Istanbul, Turkey. Now, no one really visits Turkey for roller coasters. They lack a major park since Wonderland Eurasia was a massive failure, and they seemingly don't have much to offer. However, there are a few sleeper hits that don't get too much traction here, and those being a pair of Intamin Blitzes. These coasters are from arguably the best model in the world, and Redfire is arguably top 10 of this model. Redfire has some of the best pacing for any Intamin Blitz out there, and it takes the amazing layout of ice speed and adds lap bars on top of it. It's leagues better than Nephascan, which is a mid-tier Intamin Blitz, and now both of these coasters are really good, it's just Redfire is near perfect. Next up is Chongqing. I definitely botched this name, but this is the first city in China out of many more to come. Now, if you look past the normal janky Chinese stuff, there's a high-quality Happy Valley Park here, and that's about it. At this Happy Valley Park, you have a B&M Wing Coaster called Flying Wing Coaster, and a GCI Woody called Jerome's Wooden Dragon. Now, this could really come down to personal preference, but I'm going to have to take GCI for this city. It's a pretty large wooden coaster at 100 feet, and the name is literally the best name I have seen for a coaster. Like, who doesn't like Jerome's Wooden Dragon? Well, like I said, if a smooth wing coaster is more your style, then it probably is. Next up is Buenos Aires. The only real theme park in this area is Parque de la Costa. This park is home to none other than a Vekoma Boomerang and a Vekoma SLC. This is the dynamic duo of any shitty theme park, and both of these installations are incredibly mid. I hate roughness, so I can't say that any of these coasters would be enjoyable, but both of these coasters are cheap and pull insane positive Gs. Even though you guys all say boomerangs are better, I'm going to pick the SLC because it's bigger, has a more interesting layout, and is 10 times more painful. So yeah, Desafio at Parque de la Costa is the best coaster for Buenos Aires. Next up is another city that does not have much to offer, and that is Karachi. This city is home to none other than the infamous Millennium Force and the out-of-this-world Railblazer. Except that these are terrible knockoff versions of these coasters and don't do anything special at all. Millennium Force is a knockoff Chinese looper with a single loop, and Railblazer is a Preston and Barbary family coaster. Out of these two, I'm going to pick Railblazer because it probably is much safer and it's also not trying to kill me. It stands at a good 65 feet tall and has a really long and decent layout for a family coaster. It also looks somewhat smooth, mainly because it has an attempt at banking, so I think it clearly wins here over the janky Chinese looper. Next up is our only city in America, and that is New York City. If you watched the previous video, then you know we did cover this. New York was also on this list, and to summarize it quickly, American Dream is the closest, Coney Island is the most accessible through the subway system, and Six Flags Great Adventure just is objectively the best park for the Big Apple. However, since this is the only city in America on this list, you can justify going into Philadelphia and exploring places like Dorney Park and Hershey Park. However, I still think El Toro is the best, even over coasters like Sky Rush and Wildcat's Revenge. Next up is Osaka. The star theme park of this city is right in the heart of it, and that is Universal Studios Japan. Besides the collection of elite dark rides, there are a pair of really good B&Ms here. Hollywood Dreams looks like to be a low-tier hypermodel, but adding the backwards train might add some reward into it. Also, choosing your music is pretty cool, but in my eyes it's just a significantly better version of Rip Ride Rockit. The other B&M here is Flying Dinosaur, which is regarded as the best flying coaster in the world. This thing seriously tries to rip your body apart, and even has some cool moments like airtime on a flying coaster. Flying Dinosaur definitely has the best argument for Osaka. Osaka is up next, and this is a city with basically no roller coasters. The best coaster here, and only extreme coaster here, is Roller Coaster, which is a Chinese knockoff 3 inversion coaster. It has a vertical loop and a double corkscrew, and that's about it. Like I said, nothing crazy. Up next is Beijing, and this city has a lot more to offer. There's a Superman Fire Cone, there's basically a Hulk Clone Interceptor coaster, there's a B&M Hyper, and a 200-foot SNS Air Launch coaster. Now, out of these, it comes down to Flight of the Himalayan Eagle Music Roller Coaster or Extreme Rusher. These are the B&M Hyper and the SNS Air Launch coasters. It's really a toss-up on who wins here, as both of these fall in the mid-tier for their categories. I think I'm going to end up picking Flight of the Himalayan Eagle because it's more in line with my coaster preferences, and it has a sick lighting package and onboard audio. Next up is Mumbai, and this city in India actually has a nearby theme park. Magica is not too far away, and it is a justifiable trip out there. The options here are Hot Wheel Nitro, a B&M floorless, or Deep Space, a indoor premier launch coaster. Deep Space looks like a really so-so layout, which is kind of expected when it's indoors. I think overall Hot Wheels is better because it's a fully fledged out B&M floorless. The next city on this list is Cairo, and thanks to ElToroRyan, we know the best coaster here is an SLC. The only other options are a Vekoma Boomerang and a rip-off Vekoma SLC and a looping Vinfari Cyclone. I think it's safe to say that out of these options, the SLC is still the best. Mexico City is starting off our top 5 and is home to one major park, Six Flags Mexico. Now here the argument really comes down to Medusa Steel Coaster and Superman El Ultimo Escape. Medusa Steel Coaster is the bottom tier RMC that is a pretty unique layout for iBox. Superman El Ultimo Escape is a well-rounded Morgan Hyper filled with airtime. I think this battle can go either way and it really comes down to personal preference. Six Flags Mexico is definitely one of the more accessible parks for me, so maybe I will get to ride it sometime in the near future. The thing is, iBox can get a little repetitive, and although Medusa offers a pretty different experience from other RMCs, Superman is just a really unique experience that is hard to find elsewhere, so kind of for that reason, Superman El Ultimo Escape looks like the better coaster. The next city is Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo has one good theme park, and that is Hopi Hari. Here you can find Montism, an RCCA masterpiece, and Catapult, a Schwarzkopf shuttle loop. Montism is like any RCCA coaster, extremely rough, and that's about it. I do have to say from pictures the queue line looks really cool, but who cares about the queue when the coaster itself is literally terrible. On the other hand, Catapult is not an elite out-of-this-world ride, but it's smooth and comfortable to ride, which is nice I guess. So yeah, the Schwarzkopf shuttle loop wins it there. Next up is Shanghai, and this is by far the most loaded city in terms of coasters. It probably has the best selection in the entire world, even more than Philadelphia or Tokyo. I don't even want to dive down the rabbit hole of what is here, but here are some of my personal favorites. Falcon is a really well-themed B&M wing coaster that probably is the best of its model. There's Beyond the Cloud, which is probably the best non-spinning mock launch coaster in the world, but maybe Starfall Racers will beat it. There's Starry Sky Ripper, a B&M flying coaster that is on paper better than Flying Dinosaur, but probably not actually better. And there's Dynaconda, an SNS 40 masterpiece. I think it's pretty clear what wins here, Dynaconda. Delhi is up next, and this city does not have much to offer. In fact, there's not even one extreme coaster anywhere nearby. Fear not though, we have some jankiness incoming to save the day. The most extreme coaster here is called Super Cyclone Coaster, and it's basically an unknown traveling coaster that sits in a vacant parking lot. This coaster has a 900-degree helix and a 360-degree helix, but they are unbanked and taken at 2 miles per hour. The fun in this coaster comes from fearing for your life about a derailment and not the crazy forces. However, for the best coaster for Delhi, I'm going to pick Air Pogo. This is a Zamperla Air Force, and while it may not be the craziest ride in the world, I think it's much more interesting and a lot more safer. To end out this list, we have none other than Tokyo. Now Tokyo has a bunch of really cool options in the city. There's Thunder Dolphin, the 2 Disney parks, Bandit. However, since it's an international list, I think you can justify going out a little bit. About an hour outside Tokyo is Fuji-Q Highland, and we all know what's there. Takabisha and Dodonpa are probably better options than what you already have in the city, and that's without counting Ejinika. We all know Ejinika is going to win because it's literally Ejinika. It's the best 40 coaster. I don't really feel a need to explain more. It's an experience that you can only get in 3 places of the world, and it's the highest quality of this experience type. There's a reason that Ejinika is everyone's #1 coaster in the world, so that definitely wins for Tokyo. That's all for today's video guys. Make sure to join the Discord, link in the description, and as always hit the like and subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.